It's been a long day of traveling and you feel yourself getting exhausted. You've been through hell and back, and now you need to return to your place of rest for the night. You're the last group of survivors that's been trying to endure the Plaguelands without becoming a part of an outpost or Plagueland. You're one of the most skilled marksmen out of your entire group. More than half of them would be slaughtered without you, but even with your protection, they're all gone. You walk back to your safe house. It's an apartment complex you and your group have fortified. A group member named Lawrence spent extra time making sure to make the doors and windows as unbreakable as possible. You're grateful for his work, and for a moment, you regret abandoning him while a pack of plagued wolves viciously hunted him down. But that moment quickly passes. You probably couldn't have helped him anyway, after all. You reach your safe house and proceed to lock it as securely as possible. You go into your bedroom and get ready to sleep. You lay your rifle and handguns down on the ground to your right, but keep your hunting knife sheathed in your leg strap. You light the candle you found in one of your scavenging trips, and open a window to let in some of the night air. You remember how much Lawrence hated when you opened windows. He always thought an open window or a small mistake would be the reason that we would die. But he was apparently wrong. You made a mental note to close the window before you sleep, just in case. You lie on your bed and relax. You close your eyes and try to take a nap for a bit. You can't seem to drift off. This is the first time you have ever spent the night alone throughout your entire time in the Plaguelands. The silence lets your mind wander, and you begin to remember what led you to this moment. You remember the 2 weeks of the outbreak. The bridge to town was shut down, essentially, making it impossible for anyone or anything to leave. You were one of the first people to loot the gun shops, and when everything got out of hand, you were prepared. Your mind drifts further, and you remember the first time you killed a zombie. Most of the people around you felt pain or remorse when they had to do it, but not you. Most people saw the zombies for who they were in life, but not you. You didn't even hesitate when you killed your first, and you felt a rush afterwards. In some deeply twisted way, you wanted this to happen. You hated your job as a computer technician, and you didn't even like the town you lived in. You had no significant other or any real hope for the future, but the moment you killed your first monster, you knew you were free from it all. You had your second chance, and you felt unrestricted for the first time in your life. After your first few days as a survivor of the initial outbreak, you started running into other survivors. They were scared and confused and would die without any help, and so you let them join you. You wish you could say you did it purely out of the goodness of your heart, but the real reason was that you liked the fact that they needed you. You felt like you mattered. Life was fulfilling and surviving was easy. You skipped a little forward and remembered when things became worse. You remember the first time you heard the howling at night. You and your group of 6 were returning to your safe house after scavenging a local grocery store. On your way back, you could hear a sudden burst of long, rhythmic howls from far away. At first you thought nothing of it, but one of your fellow survivors, a young man named Alex, turned to see the source of the howls. He suddenly and frantically began sprinting ahead of everyone. You turn back and see 3 large wolves rushing towards you, with a 4th, larger wolf still howling as if commanding them forward. You and your group ran, but only you and Alex escaped. The other 4 were ruthlessly slaughtered. The 2 of you returned to your safe house and told the others what had happened. For the first time since the beginning of the outbreak, you felt unsure of yourself. As the plague grew, so too did the harshness of the Plaguelands. New dangers began to arise. In addition to the zombies, tall, pale, skeletal figures began to roam the streets. They were savage, solitary hunters, known as plague walkers. They seemed to love attacking heavily armed and populated places. You figured the plague walkers must love the challenge. They are the reason there are few survivor outposts now. Your mind wanders a little further still, and you remember the other beings to emerge from the plague. The enhanced, as you called them, were nothing you ever expected to see. They looked completely human. But the plague enhanced them, making them stronger, faster, and possibly smarter too. The most interesting thing the plague did to them was give them some sort of supernatural ability. All of the enhanced banded together to create a community. There are 4 types in total. The wildfire starters created the Fireland, a place full of tall buildings and apartments that seemed to always be on fire and somehow never burned away. Anyone stupid enough to wander inside will either join them or be turned into nothing but ashes. The ruthless cryokinetic formed the Frostland, a section of town now frozen over and blanketed with a thin mist. Survivors that wander too close are frozen into the landscape. The third Plagueland is called the Electric Fields, a place full of enhanced that can use electricity as a weapon. Their territory is full of mansions and houses covered by a thick layer of fog. People unfortunate enough to find themselves there will most likely be electrocuted or left to rot. And the final Plagueland is called the Industrial Complex. It's a series of factories, offices. The enhanced there use telekinesis as a weapon. They are dedicated to their beliefs and pull apart anyone who doesn't agree with them. All 4 territories, plus the zombie-infested inner territory, makes up the place everyone calls Plaguelands. So much danger. And yet you overcame it all. You've seen it all, and more importantly, you've survived it all. Nothing can stop you. None of the monsters or beasts or men could even come close to killing you. You were born for this place. Now you finally feel yourself falling asleep. As your consciousness fades, you hear the howling you've come so familiar with and smile. The sound of the wolves rushing towards their prey slowly becomes louder as the wolves hunt down the scent that they must have caught. Some poor sucker isn't going to make it, you think to yourself from inside your fortress. You can hear them perfectly. Through the window. You forgot.